Alright, update on JASMY. So it looks like we've taken out my first two price targets. Now, for the past week, since these momentum indicators really started to shift to the downside on the 4-hourly EMA ribbons, I've basically been saying, in my opinion, we're coming down to between 2.5 to 2.3 cent. Now, that is what I said a week ago, and I updated you yesterday with a new potential price target down here at 2 cent. And, you know, I'm starting to think, well, this is getting very, very likely now that we are coming down to 2 cents. So I still haven't entered a trade. I told you I was looking to play from a position of strength, and originally I was looking to buy a bounce off the 2.3 cent. Now, I said this a week ago, before these momentum indicators really started to shift in, and I'm not going to get into every reason why I predicted we're going to move down to, you know, between 2.3 and 2.5 cent when we were all the way up here, but the main reason is really that, you know, Bitcoin was showing me weakness. And when we were in the bottom of these EMA ribbons like a week ago, I was saying, you know, I think Bitcoin's going to have a flush out to 40,000. If you've been watching me for the past week, you know that I've been talking about this, and I've been saying I think Bitcoin needs to flush out the weak hands. Unfortunately, momentum looks like it's pointing to the downside. I was looking at this objectively, and, you know, all the charts were saying is that we're going to have a move to the downside. So I relayed that information. I gave you my updated price targets. Yesterday or the day before, I gave you the possibility of us coming down to 2 cent, and as we've now completely wiped the floor with 2.3 cent, it looks like we're coming straight down to 2 cent. Now, you know, this was like a 25% drop a couple of days ago. We're really not too far away from it now. It's only a 10% drop. But the number one reason why I'm not too worried about us coming down to the 2 cent, but I would be worried if we lost 2 cent, is for this very simple reason. If we come over to the daily, find the last time that JASMY had a bottoming pattern, then proceeded with basically a 4x rally. I think this was a 4x rally. Or a 3x rally, so very similar to what we're seeing now. After this massive 3x rally, we came all the way back down and had a very nice throwback to the 786 Fibonacci. Now, this was the main reason why yesterday and the day before, or maybe it was just yesterday, I can't remember if it was a 2-day prediction or just yesterday, but I've been talking about how I think we're going to move down to the 786 Fibonacci. Now, I really didn't want to say that because my initial prediction, and I said this for the past week, my gut feeling is we're going to move down to 2.3 cent, and that's where I'd be looking to make a trade. But yesterday I had to update my my opinion on that and say I think we're going to move lower. And, you know, once again, I didn't necessarily want to say that, but I looked at the charts objectively, and the charts were telling me that we're going to have a further move to the downside. If we look at these momentum indicators, the 4-hourly EMA ribbons have reset. We came back, well, we didn't even come down to the heart line, like, I mean, we somewhat reset these, but then we're starting to push up again. We're seeing bearish volume step in. These are some really nasty engulfing candles that we've got going on. So I'm honestly not a big, I'm not the biggest fan of the price action, all the chart analysis that I'm looking at right now. In my opinion, the charts are pointing that we could break below 2 cent, but I also don't want to panic too much because, like I've been saying, if you've watched my previous videos for the past week, I've been saying I think Bitcoin's going to come down to 40,000, have a bottom, and then have a strong impulse. Tomorrow, I believe the US is announcing their Q1 inflation report, so I believe that's going to give some kick to the fire once the US comes out and says something like, oh, we've got 7.5 or 8% inflation. I'm personally predicting about 7.5%. I mean, that's just my own opinion on what they've got going on, but I wouldn't be surprised if they said 8%. Nonetheless, I've been saying I think Bitcoin's going to come down to 40,000, have a bottom and a reversal. We're really only like 2% away from this prediction coming into fruition. I mean, we're pretty much there already. So I'm predicting another 2% move to the downside for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's able to have that 2% move and a strong reversal, then I could see that correlating very nicely with JASMY coming down a further 10% and then having a reversal. Now, if we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's down 4% today and JASMY's down 16%. So I think Bitcoin moving down a further 2%, JASMY moving down a further 10% is very, very likely. But do bear in mind, I'm really not going to quibble with this 10% drop to the downside. I've been talking about looking to play JASMY from a position of strength, whether that was 2.3 cent or 2 cents. So we are in my predicted reversal zone. So let me move this box over to down here. This is really where I think JASMY is going to have a bottom. And once again, I could be wrong. If we lose 2 cent, then I really wouldn't be too bullish on JASMY, because I've highlighted this before. When JASMY has these bottoming signals, or previously, I mean, we've only really got 2 bottoming signals and 2 explosions that we've previously done. But we've done this before, twice. We've had a bottoming signal, a huge push up, a back test of the 786 Fibonacci, and then we had a massive impulse. So I'm really looking for something like that to play out right now. I think the 786 is definitely on the table, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing with this bearish momentum. We're seeing huge selling volume. We're seeing, you know, squeeze mom daily momentum indicator just stacking and stacking up. At this point, you know, I'd want to be seeing it kind of curving down to the heart line, so, you know, we can be confident that we're going to have a bottom round about this 2 cent. The momentum indicators are telling me we're not going to bottom at 2 cent, and we're going to take out 2 cent, potentially come down to 1.7 cent, and then it gets really iffy. Like, this whole uptrend is invalidated if we have a daily close, you know, below 2 cents. So I'm being very cautious right now, and I don't want to say that, in my opinion, JASMY is going to have a breakdown, because I think it would be stupid to kind of say, in my opinion, you know, JASMY's going to have a breakdown, when previously we've looked at the charts and JASMY's come down to the 786 and had a reversal. I also don't want to say JASMY's going to lose the 786, because this is a further 10% drop for JASMY, and at which point I'd imagine Bitcoin has had a strong bottom at 40,000, but we really need to be prepared for both. If you're watching this in 12 hours, or if you're watching this now, if you're watching this in a day's time, and Bitcoin is tanking below 40,000, if we lose 40,000, then I have to call that I think, you know, JASMY is going to invalidate this entire uptrend, and then I'd have to assume JASMY is going to come and sweep the lows at 1 cent. Now, that is not my most likely scenario before you throw rocks through my window. I am of the opinion that JASMY is going to bottom at 2 cent. I mean, it's really my gut feeling, and a mix of Bitcoin bottoming at 40,000 and a tiny bit of hopium, really. But I'm really not liking with what I'm seeing on these momentum indicators. Like, I've got to be honest with my analysis, and when new data comes in, I've got to be able to change my opinion. And this increase in bearish momentum on the squeeze mom 4 hourly indicator is not what you want to see. It's not just the 4 hourly, it's the daily. We're picking up massive momentum to the downside. And when you get momentum like this to the downside, it's not something that you can just reverse in like a day or so. I mean, I really don't want to go through every single scenario, but you can see, you know, when momentum really started to subside round about here, you know, I mean, we still had a huge flush out. So I really think we need to be cautious with what's going on right now. Like I said, I'm not entering JASMY right now. I'm really looking to enter once I see a bottom, and I'm not worried about catching the exact bottom. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to say JASMY's going to bottom at exactly this level and I'm going to enter exactly at this price, or I'm not going to enter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I need to see a bottoming signal first. I need to see a reversal, and then I'll be happy to enter on the reversal. You know, bear in mind, we were all the way up here at 4 cent, and I was telling you I'm not entering here. I think we're going to come down. And I was saying the same at 3 cent. So, I mean, if I'm entering now, or if I'm entering when we come down to 2 cent, I'm still getting a 36% discount. So I'm not trying to catch the exact bottom. This is not what this channel is about. I'm merely pointing out the fact that I do not see a bottoming signal yet. And it is getting slightly worrying how we're seeing these momentum indicators reset and then start to push back to the downside. So once again, my gut feeling is that we're going to have a bottom at the 2 cent. It would line up with what Bitcoin's doing. It would line up with that market reversal that I do believe is going to happen. And also would line up with what we've previously done with the last bottom that we saw on JASMY. Nonetheless, I mean, these momentum indicators are really showing me that we should be cautious. I mean, when we were down here previously, you know, momentum had really started to subside when we came back down to the 786. I mean, we weren't that high at all. And now when we come over to where we are, you know, we've reset and we've started to increase. So I'm being very cautious with this. I still do think at least 2 cent is on the table, but I am going to be extremely cautious if 2 cent does get taken out. That is really all I see for JASMY. Once again, my first 2 targets have been hit, and unfortunately we have broken below the second one at 2.3 cent. I have to assume 2 cent is coming into play. That is a move down to 10%. If we have a huge reversal in the next couple of hours and Bitcoin has a huge reversal, so be it. I'll be happy to enter once I see that reversal. But until then, I still do think Bitcoin's coming and bottoming at 40,000. That would correlate to JASMY having a little bit more of a flush out before the bottom is in. That is really all I see for JASMY. Best of luck. I'm not entering a trade right now. If we have a huge reversal at 2 cents, so be it. That's when I'm looking to enter. That's all I see. Best of luck. Cowboy out. Not financial advice. Peace.